The content of this build video was possible thanks to early access from EA. Hello, welcome back to another speed build with Frimlin, and this time I am back in Salvadorada, and like I said in one of my previous videos, this is a new bar for the center of the marketplace district. And basically what I've done here is, like usual, I have restricted which packs I use in my build, and I'm using, of course, the Jungle Adventure game pack, and also Get Together expansion pack. Why have I used Get Together? Well, Get Together brings a lot of really cool group activities, and I just wanted this bar, this new cantina, sorry, to be just basically a really fun place that you could hang out at with local Salvadoradian people or with your family and friends. Basically just a nice place to interact with groups. And Get Together is a pack that's all about groups and group activities, so it's the perfect one to use. So I really hope that you have that expansion. If not, I hope that this build will make you think maybe you should get it because it brings some really cool group activities, like for example a dartboard, foosball table, and I think the llama game as well. And also DJ booth, which this place has as well, as you'll see later on in the video. So basically this place is fully featured. It's absolutely jam-packed with Get Together stuff. I've just thought of something else. It's got the cool kind of video game that you can get and Get Together. That's another group activity. So yeah, jam-packed with group activities. Just as every good bar or cantina should be. So yeah, I hope you like it. I've enjoyed building it. Unlike usual, I didn't actually kind of sit down and think about the layout beforehand. I just kind of built it as I went. Basically, there's only a few hours left before the official release of the game pack. So I didn't feel, I really had the time to sit down and think about exactly what layout I wanted. So that's basically me trying to excuse any things that you find wrong with the build. But, I've been building for a while now. I don't think it's going to be too bad. And that's not me blowing my own trumpet. That's not something that I tend to do. It's just, I do have a certain confidence in my abilities as a builder. I think it's okay. I mean, there's a few things that I look back even now and just think, I could do that a bit better. But I think generally it's cool. And mostly I wanted to get the group activities in there. And they are there. And it does have the style, that came with the pack. So it's going to fit in with other buildings that also use that pack. So these are big things that I wanted to make sure this build had, and it does, in my opinion. So so there you go. So unlike other pubs or bars or cantinas, this place has a little kind of kids playground area at the back, and you'll see that popping up a bit later on. I just thought it would be nice for there to be something out there for kids to play with as well. So yeah, I hope you like that little touch. And yeah, I just thought it would be nice to have like a flower garden with what the locals here would see as exotic flowers, but actually they're probably not that exotic to the rest of us because they've been in so many other builds already. But I actually, thinking about it, those plants might actually be of a tropical origin to begin with. I'm not too sure. I'd have to go and look it up. I'm not going to do that right now. So yeah, I I haven't used these blue variants of these windows. Well, funnily enough, I've only done 3 builds, including this one with the Jungle Adventure game pack. But you know, these are very distinctive blue windows, and they're the kind of windows that I imagine I might not ever use again. I don't know, but they're such bold colours. Sometimes that can put me off using something, but actually I really like that mix of that kind of orangey brown and the turquoisey tealy kind of blue. So it's not impossible that I would use them again. I can imagine them in lots of other situations as well, actually. So I might use them again. Don't say things too soon, Frimlin. You know, you might regret it after a while. Anyhow, so the cool thing also about using Get Together for group activities is that there are also lots of other cool things that came along with Get Together, and so I had fun placing those in as well, and hopefully as I place them I'll point them out to you, but we shall see. So here we go with the kids' playground. Basically by kids' playground, I basically mean it has that kind of boat thing, I forgot what it's called, jungle gym, is it? And then it's got the monkey bars, and that's it. I mean, I think that's all there is really in the base game for kids' big toys, and possibly in the rest of the game as well. I don't think there is any other big toys like that for kids. I mean, you could talk about the doll's house, but I don't think that, you know, a cantina is the place for a doll's house. I don't know, it could probably work as well. Someone's going to prove me wrong, but no, I think it probably would work. But I just don't want it in this build. I'm happy with just the jungle gym and just the monkey bars. So of course, when you have stairs going out into the outside, like I have here, it makes the room below it basically an outside room. So I kind of sectioned this room off, and that is essentially an outside room. So when we finally get seasons, that room might get some snow in it, I don't know. But you know, a lot of builders are going to have this issue with their builds, so we'll see what happens. But I've got a funny feeling that stairs will always remain functional, so I don't think it's going to be a big issue. So yeah, this room up here, at first I was like, what am I going to do with this big room upstairs? But this is where I eventually placed the DJ machine, and so it's going to be quite a fun little disco room that you can go up to if you want. If you want to get away from the bar, if you don't want to hang around with people playing foosball or Don't Wake the Llama, you could go into the disco room upstairs. So here I am building like a little stairwell. One thing I really don't like about the railings on stairs when they meet up with other fences or the half walls is they can look a bit funny, and I think it looks a bit less funny if there's gaps to the side. So I basically did that here and extended it out a bit to make it into a full stairwell like that, full open roof to the room below it. I mean, it was already open to the elements as we discussed. It's now very open to the elements. So these tables came along with Get Together, and they have a kind of a European vibe to them, as a lot of Get Together does. But I don't think that's completely inappropriate, considering that the Spanish kind of look, or the semi-Spanish look, or whatever you want to say, the Spanish-derived look that we have in the Jungle Adventure game pack is not exactly un-European, is it? I mean, there's definite kind of connections there. I mean, if I put like some Oriental Chinese kind of umbrellas instead, they would definitely look out of place. But I think these Get Together European-esque umbrellas look okay. So yeah, there is the dartboard, and I actually move it downstairs eventually. I decided that that little kind of balcony here would be better to have like a little seat so that people can sit and interact with each other, perhaps. You know what I mean? I mean kissing. Or they could just look out on the marketplace below, maybe. But yeah, so the dartboard. The dartboard is downstairs, and you'll see that popping up later on. Now this ground cover is Jungle Adventure Game Pack ground cover, and I really love it. It's very bushy, and I am surely going to use it in other builds as well, like non-jungle related builds. But yeah, I couldn't fit it in anywhere else. I don't use the move objects cheat, so even though I can size it down and up without using the move objects cheat, it doesn't actually change the footprint of the object. So if you can't fit it into space, it just won't work without using move objects. So there you go. But yeah, so basically just filling up this green space. I know I don't have to follow the green and the stone patterns that are on the lot by default, but I just thought it would be nice to. So that's basically what I did. Yeah, and I didn't want there to be a whole lot of blank space around, so I thought it would be nice to have a garden, and because we're in the jungle, I thought it would be nice to use jungle plants for that. I really like these jungle plants, by the way. What about you? What do you think of them? So what else do we have? Yeah, there's the dartboard going in downstairs. And what am I doing now? I'm just kind of playing around with the terrain paint just to make sure that it doesn't look too out of place, just having this building growing up out of the ground. And I actually eventually later on extend the tiles out there a little bit. You'll see that when you download it. And yeah, just tidying up the kids' playground area a little bit. I also put a few flowers around there later on as well. Love the tree fern, love the banana plant. Those are definite ones that you can use in other builds, so it's going to be fun adding those in. You probably know this already, but I come from New Zealand, so yeah, that's my accent if you don't already realize this. And we have tree ferns in New Zealand. We don't have banana plants, but we have tree ferns. And funny story about tree ferns is that when I was about, I don't know, 9 or 10, we had this tree fern in the backyard, and well, you're going to very quickly see what I'm going to do when I tell you what I was like, but I was a little bit of a pyromaniac when I was a kid. I mean, not like a super wild pyromaniac, but I did enjoy a little bit of fun with flames every now and then. And somehow one day I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I set this tree fern alight? You know, 'cause it's a tree fern. It's alive. It's not going to burn, is it? But it was actually really dry, and it really caught on fire very quickly, and I was so upset, and I think I had to grab a hose nearby and put it out, and it actually caught onto the fence next to us as well, and I think my dad was there at the time, and he was really upset with me, and I probably got beaten for it or something like that. But yeah, so that's what I think of when I think about tree ferns. Apart from thinking that I love tree ferns very much and I would like them in my own garden if I had a garden. I also think about the fact that I once brought a tree fern to its knees, poor thing. I think it did actually survive, I'm not sure. But yeah, so here is the disco room going in. So we have the DJ booth going in. And I think I also stick down a dance floor. Here we go, yep, a little dance floor. And I'm continuing with this kind of blue theme that I've got going on. It might not be the same blue that's in the windows, but the blue, for example, on the roof is a bit more blue. So it does match the roof a bit more. And yeah, I just generally use blue throughout the build quite a lot. And the main bar area as well has blue walls. So what I like about building a bar as opposed to a house is actually it's quite simple. You don't really need a whole lot of different types of rooms. You just need, basically, at the very minimum, you need a bar area and you need some toilets. that's it. Everything else is completely up to you to add if you want or not. But I did add some extra rooms, like for example there's the disco room. There's this kind of seated area on the roof where you can have a meal if you like. But I also added in a couple of other little rooms as well. There's a couple of bedrooms. Basically I wanted to accentuate the idea that it's not just a bar, it's a place where you can stay as well. So for example, if you're a weary traveller, you can come in here, and if you're super tired you can go to bed on your own if you're very tired, or with someone else if you like. But there's also like a woohoo bush outside as well for that kind of thing. So yeah, there's like I said, there's plenty of group activities here. So here we are finally inside the bar area, and again like I said, lots of blue going on. And I'm also using a couple of the paintings that came along with the Get Together pack, because I just think they suit it. There is this whole colonial thing going on in South America. It is a part of history, and so I just thought it would be a good thing to stick those on the wall. Well, there aren't any paintings that came along with Jungle Adventure, so that's another good reason to use the Get Together stuff, especially while I'm using that pack. When I tend to use any packs in a build, I like to use as many items from those packs as possible. It just helps, well, it really helps in particular to get a cohesive theme, which is another really cool thing about restricted pack builds. It makes it a lot easier for me to make a cohesive theme. So yeah, that's another thought there. Anyway, so here are the bedrooms going in, as I mentioned, and I'm making them as nice as I can, but they're still pretty basic. Basically, I don't want there to be anything in there that's interesting for a sim apart from a bed, because I want it so that if you send your sim in there and they're asleep on the bed, they won't be disturbed by a sim coming in to use some other interesting object that's in the room. And that will happen in gameplay. If you've got like for example, a computer in there, or a wardrobe or something like that, another sim will come in there. And I find that particularly disturbing, you know, if you're pretending that this is like a hotel room or something like that. Sims don't tend to go in and change their clothing using the dresser, so I thought the dresser would be fine. They might use the mirror, but hopefully not. Fingers crossed. And yeah, so this room is basically a little kind of study room. We have the computer, and I always think it's useful to have a computer in a build like this. Well, for a start, I'm a big user of the MC command center mod, so it's good to have like a central place somewhere in Salvadorada where you can use MC command center and you know, adjust the settings in that mod. Also, you can order antidote, I think, for poisons. I have heard from one of my visitors, left me a bit of a tip, because I took my Let's Play Sims Ruby and Brun on Jungle Adventure. That was one of the first things I did when I got early access to the pack. And Ruby is poisoned, so one of my viewers came. I'm sorry, I've completely forgotten who it was now. Please forgive me. But they pointed out that you can actually order an antidote for poisons from the computer. So yeah, another good reason to have a computer nearby. There could be lots of reasons. So I can't imagine that there's going to be a computer anywhere else in the world, unless you just happen to have one in, you know, the holiday home that you're staying in. By the way, love that rug. Very bright colours, but you know, one good thing about bright colours is they're kind of mood lifting. They just kind of make you happy looking at them. I mean, I know, you know, it can be really hard to get out of some moods, and some people just don't like bright colours. But I do. I've always liked bright colours. They do make me happy. And actually, just talking about that, it reminds me of my birth mother. See, I'm adopted, and my birth mother back in New Zealand, She has this very bright, colourful skirt. I thought, well, it could be a dress actually. It's like a summer dress, and it's got bright reds and turquoise and a whole lot of different kind of colours. And she has the same kind of skin as me, this kind of freckly, pale skin, but freckly. And I just think she looked so gorgeous in her colourful dress. And so I remembered that we were talking about colours, because I don't know, I remember seeing her in that dress, and it just made me so happy to see that she was in bright colours. Because when I was a teenager, before I met her when I was about 20, I think it was. When I was a teenager, I was much more into wearing lots of black. I think I had like full outfits that were black. I wasn't like a goth or anything. Certainly didn't have any kind of makeup or anything like that. I've never been into makeup. But yeah, no offense to goths, but yeah, no, I wasn't a goth teenager, but I did wear lots of black. And I remember when I met my birth mother and spent a bit of time with her and got to know her, and seeing her in that colourful dress, it just made me think, hey, you know what? You can wear colourful stuff too. And I love wearing t-shirts. I'm a big t-shirt wearer, and I love wearing double t-shirts, as all my friends know. So when I got a bit older, and when I was buying my own stuff, when I became an adult and I was started working and looking after myself, as it were, I made sure to buy lots of colourful t-shirts, and I still use colourful t-shirts to this day. And yeah, I love colour. So yeah, colour makes me happy. It doesn't always work, sometimes you can be really stuck in a bad mood. And I have been in the recent past, but colour definitely does make me happy at the moment, and I love the bright and vibrant colours that are in this pack. I really do. They're just really uplifting, and I would have loved to have lived in a place that has houses that use these bright colours. The houses in New Zealand are quite attractive. There's lots of modern builds in New Zealand in particular. I was very surprised when I moved to Europe, actually, how few modern houses you see around the place. It was because so many of them are already quite old, like hundreds of years old, in particular here in Versailles, France, where I'm living. But I remember when I lived in the UK, for example, a lot of even the new houses that were built didn't look to me very modern. They kind of followed very traditional kind of styles, which I think are quite cool. But yeah, so anyway, looks like I'm about finished. So I hope you enjoy the screenshots. So you could download La Nueva Cantina right now from the gallery. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll come back for another video. Take care and goodbye.